Hey guys, so I thought I'd make a couple videos on equations and how to solve them. Formulas are equations, and equations are statements that only allows us to have one thing that makes it true. Think of an equation as a scale, okay? So the left side has to equal the right side. Think of the scale like bouncing. Like this is an old school version of a scale. You may have seen these in cartoons, or if anyone ever watches Big Brother, one of the final head of household competitions usually has a scale like this, and if you get a question right, you move up and down, and things like that. Okay. As you know, in this unit, we're going to learn a couple of different techniques on how to solve equations. So what that means is that we are going to be able to figure out a x or a y or a k or an s or an n without having to do some trial and error. Maybe in the past you did something like that, like in elementary school, say a number plus 5 equals 8, and you had to figure out what that number is. Okay, sometimes trial and error, sometimes you can do it right away in your head. Let's take a look at some simple techniques. So the first thing we're going to look at is when we do something by undoing the equation with opposite operations. Okay, this is an important thing to remember, is opposite operations. So I'm going to try and circle this. Let's see, where's my marker? Can I draw? Why can't I draw? Here we go. Opposite operations. Okay, so what exactly does opposite operations mean? Well, when you are adding something, the opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of subtracting, therefore, is adding. The opposite of multiplying is dividing, and the opposite of dividing, therefore, is multiplying. And then once you get to grade 10, you'll look at another one, which will be like square root and squaring, but we don't have to worry about that right now. Okay? So, this is an important warning here. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must, as in capitals, and I'll underline it, must do to the other side. Okay? So let's take a look at this first one here. So it says solve the equation 3 plus x equals 8. Again, this is pretty simple. You might have already know the answer just by looking at it. This is one of those elementary school ones where it's like 3 plus some number equals 8. Well, what does that number have to equal? So in order for us to figure that out, what we're going to do is, I'm just going to rewrite the equation here. We're going to use opposite operations. Okay, so we know that 3 is being added to x. So I want to get x all by itself. So in order to get rid of that 3, we're going to subtract it from this side. So 3 minus 3 plus x equals, and that rule from 2 slides ago, whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other side, equals 8 minus 3. Okay, now what's 3 minus 3? I'll wait, let you think about it. Oh, see a couple hands going up. Yes, it's 0. So we have 0 plus x equals, now 8 minus 3 is, good, 5. We don't have to write out that 0, so we just leave it as x equals 5. Okay, sorry I got the sniffles right now. Not sick, just air conditioning's on. It's kind of cold, but that's all right. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So this one here, t minus 9 equals 14. Again, you can ask yourself, what minus 9 equals 14? Or we will use our opposite operations to figure it out. So I'm going to rewrite the equation, okay? And as we said before, when we have subtraction, the opposite of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to write t plus 9 minus 9 equals, again, what you do to one side, you do to the other. So in this case, we're adding 9 to both sides. Another thing I wanted to mention is you notice I'm going to try and write my equal signs all going down. You want to try and line them all up. That's proper form. I also don't have an equal sign here. You never, ever, ever have two equal signs in the same line. Okay? So 9 minus 9 is 0. So that leaves me with just t on this side. 14 plus 9 is 23. So in this case, t equals 23. Okay? So far, so good. Guess you don't really have the ability to ask questions, but you can ask me by emailing me. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at the next one. So this one, when we have 5 and then a letter right beside it, we have nothing in between. That means we are multiplying. So what that means is 5 times k equals 75. And from earlier in the slides, it said whatever opposite operations, when you're multiplying, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So again, the end of the game here is we always want the letter by itself. So what I'm going to do is divide everything by 5. So if I divide on this side, I have to divide on that side. 5 divided by 5 is equal 1. So we just have 1k. 75 divided by 5 is, what is that, 15? I should have a calculator ready. Let's see. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 75. There we go. Okay, so k is equal to 15. Okay, so we've seen when we add to both sides, when we subtract to both sides, when we divide by both sides. What do you think the next one is going to be? Well, it's a fraction. Oh no, I see a fraction. I need to run away. I drop everything I'm doing. I curl up into a ball and I hide, right? Wrong. You said right? Come on. You need to have a little more confidence. So, in order to get rid of this fraction here, we need to use opposite operations. Whenever we have fractions, this fraction line here, that signifies division. Okay, so it's n divided by 3 equals -8. So because we're dividing, the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So n divided by 3 equals, did it say -8 on the last page? -8, okay? So what we must do now is multiply everything by 3. Okay, what you do to one side, you do to the other. Just like the last question, 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we're left with 1n. You can write the 1 in front of it, but let's save ourselves that second and precious ink and lead and not write that 1, okay? And then over here, we just multiply 3 times -8 is going to be -24, because a negative times a positive is always a negative. 3 times 8 is 24, okay? And again, if I'm going too quick, please rewind the video and watch each one over and over again until you understand what's going on. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. M plus 5 equals -2. M plus 5 equals -2. So we want to get M all by itself. We have adding 5 here. So to get rid of that, we have to do opposite operations. What you do to one side, you have to do the other. 5 minus 5 is 0, so we're left with M over here. -2 minus 5, -7. You could do a quick check, say -7 plus 5 up here, up, -2. Bingo, bango, bongo, it works. Okay, next one, -4p equals 72. So I'm going to rewrite it. -4p equals 72. What does this mean? -4 what p? Right, it means multiply. So in order to get rid of the multiplication, we have to divide. We divide everything by 4. So, oh, -4, my bad. Thanks for pointing that out. So we have p equals, what's 72 divided by -4? 20 would be 80. Take 2 of those off for 8, so that'd be what, 16, -16. Let's use the old calculator to double check. -18, close, close. Okay, so we get negative 18 here. All right, let's keep going with these questions. Never mind. That's it. All right, that's it for the first one. I'll be posting another one in a second on multi-step equations, okay? So again, go back and rewatch this if you need to.